Well, let's move on to another story now. And the U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions has told federal prosecutors to press for the most serious charges possible against suspects, expected to mean more prison terms for drug offenders. The U.S. prison population is the highest in the world, with 2.17 million people behind bars in state and federal institutions. That figure peaked in 2008 at 2.3 million, but fell steadily under Barack Obama's presidency. Now, that's partly because Obama relaxed the rules on minimum sentences for drug offenses, the reason 1 in 5 prisoners is inside. And that's what the new Attorney General wants to change, saying that an epidemic of heroin and other opioids is fueling a surge in violent crime. So let's get more on this now. David Love joins us from Philadelphia. He is a journalist and a commentator who writes investigative stories on human rights and criminal justice issues. Thank you very much for speaking to us. So the U.S. Attorney General says that he wants to see maximum punishment for drug offenses. How significant a reversal is this from the Obama-era policies?
Well, it's great to be with you. I think that this reversal is significant, and I quote prominent U.S. Senator Kamala Harris, who is also a former prosecutor. She said that this is going to revive the war on drugs. And this was a war that started in the Nixon administration, was really ramped up in the 1980s and 1990s, and it is essentially the criminalization of drugs. This has ravaged families, ravaged communities, particularly communities of color and poor people. And at a time when we should be looking at drug abuse as a public health issue, now we're once again looking at it as a criminal matter, and it is not going to do anything good for the country except create a situation where thousands, perhaps even more, additional people are in prison.
What do you mean when you say that it's ravaged families and communities? Whom in society will a measure like this affect the most?
Yes, well, typically in Black communities, Latino communities, where young men are stopped on the street for small amounts of drugs, such as marijuana in particular. Nonviolent offenses, and for years this has gone on in Black and brown communities where people have found themselves in prison for years on end in many cases for nonviolent offenses. One has to ask if this is really the best use of the country's resources. And during the Obama administration, I think there was a sense of enlightenment, a feeling that we cannot continue these policies. So the Obama administration gave more discretion to prosecutors to seek leniency, lower charges in terms of the sentences that they sought for drug offenders. And that was a very effective policy, leading to a rather dramatic decrease in the federal prison population. But now people fear that there's going to be a complete reversal of that with the Trump administration, which had pledged from the very beginning to be a law and order administration.
Right, so
that would be very severe.
And so just picking up on that point that you're making, it's obviously, this measure has its fair share of critics. Why is this happening now, and who is spearheading it? Is it Jeff Sessions or President Trump?
Well, I would say that it is President Trump because he has been pledging this from the very beginning, since he announced his candidacy. But also Jeff Sessions has been a foremost advocate of the war on drugs throughout his career. At one point, he even supported the death penalty for marijuana possession. So this is very unfortunate, but unfortunately not very surprising. And at a time when crime is at record lows in many major cities, all of a sudden there is this need to conduct this, what we thought was a war on drugs that had been defeated, or had been criticized as being an abject failure. it just stuns the imagination. But I think there are people who see profits in mass incarceration, and unfortunately, those forces are making their opinions known in this new administration.
It is indeed a very significant order from the U.S. Attorney General with far-reaching implications. And thank you for putting it all into context for us, David Love, joining us there from Philadelphia. Well, now, a group of Indonesian Christians